It is yet another bad day for France and its allies, and a big win for President Ibrahim Traore and the people of Burkina Faso. As reports emerge indicating Russia has started deploying troops and weapons to Burkina Faso. The communication on a Telegram channel linked to the Russian Ministry of Defense did not state how many troops were dispatched but stated more 200 troops would be deployed soon, indicating some troops were already dispatched, adding that the deployment was to assist its strategic partner Burkina Faso address the security situation in the country, including the Islamic State insurgents and the numerous attempts on the life of President Ibrahim Traore. This significant deployment follows a visit to Burkina Faso by the Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov to Ouagadougou in June. It is very clear that this deployment is meant to allow for military training of both Burkinabe military and law enforcement officers, as well as operational support in terms of intelligence gathering and weapon supplies to the West African state. The Sahel states have been the center of a new Cold War in Africa. Following the military coups in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, the region got more determined leaders destined to reclaim the independence of Africa. The actions of these leaders to collectively dismiss French and American troops from their soils was a clear message that Africa once again was on a journey to self-redemption. France, in a bid to try to regain control of the Sahel states from whom it has stolen for decades, resorted to using its proxy force ECOWAS to invade Niger, claiming they wanted to restore constitutionalism and democracy. But this was a nightmare, as President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso and Assimi Goïta of Mali swiftly declared, any attack on Niger would mean an attack on all the three Sahel states. Caught out of options and desperate to regain the arm that has fed the French economy for decades, France resorted to espionage against Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, using military bases in Benin and Ivory Coast, as recently revealed by President Ibrahim Traore. France has attempted a number of coups and assassination attempts on the life of Ibrahim Traore, whom the West view as a key figure in the unification of the Sahel states. Ibrahim Traore is on course and determined to embarrass France and its puppets for life, and lead not only Burkina Faso but the entire Africa to true independence. He has continued to engage with other Sahel states to move away from France and other Western powers to cherish true democracy for Africa. Ibrahim Traore's influence is spreading across the Sahel like a flu. Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko recently indicated the discontent of the Senegalese authorities with the presence of both French and American troops, who should be parking bags to exit Senegal very soon. The Burkinabe Prime Minister Apollinaire J, recently speaking in a meeting of Sahel States Alliance Prime Ministers in Niger's capital Niamey, said he had spoken to Chad to join the alliance of the Sahel States, which he indicated that Chad would anytime become a member of the Sahel states. Besides dismissing the French troops, Ibrahim Traore and his administration is determined to overhaul French influence in the Sahel. Burkina Faso is launching a country-wide consultation to draft a new constitution, throwing to the dustbin one that was left behind by the French colonialists decades ago. Ibrahim Traore and his counterparts in the alliance of the Sahel states later last year announced the development of a new currency that will be adopted and used in the three countries. This puts an end to French exploitation through the CFA francs that it had for long held the monopoly of printing and distributing to the Francophone countries. In doing all this, Traore is very careful and strategic to ensure that he does not suck all his energy to defeating France and its puppets and proxies militarily, but also offer a better life for the Burkinabe people. He earlier this year signed a nuclear development agreement with Russia to build nuclear reactors that will provide energy for domestic and commercial use to the people of Burkina Faso. For many decades, the Sahel country had supplied uranium to France that lit the streets of Paris and ran industries in France, yet only 20% of the country had access to electricity. Ibrahim Traore also signed a deal and launched the construction of the first ever locally owned gold processing plant in Burkina Faso. This is aimed at boosting the economy of the country and create jobs for the Burkinabe youth. While Ibrahim Traore continues to inspire many young leaders around the continent to demand for true independence and total liberation of the continent from Western robberies through neo-colonial puppet leaders, some critics have weighed in saying, there is no need to dismiss the Americans and French and replace them with Russia. we can exclusive reveal to you that Ibrahim Traore is a brilliant leader who knows very well what he is doing. Looking back in history, Ibrahim Traore is not the first African leader to try to challenge Western supremacy. His predecessor Thomas Sankara attempted the same, but had his life ended quickly through a Western puppet blaze. Compare. Patrice Lumumba in the Democratic Republic of Congo had a similar vision to that of Traore, but was quickly murdered through a Western puppet Mobutu Sese Seko. So was Libyan President Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, who had opted for a single currency for Africa. Domestically, Traore has studied the history and understood that all his predecessors who had a similar dream of liberating Africa were easily terminated because they attempted to do so in isolation. For this reason, Traore has changed tactic. Instead of daring this dream alone, he has built an alliance of Sahel states. This alliance is expanding, as we earlier discussed in the video, and may soon have Senegal and Chad on the block. Internationally, while his predecessors lacked international backing, Traore understands that the enemy of my enemy is my best friend. He is exploiting the disagreement between Western countries and Russia, who has been isolated following the Ukraine war, to his advantage. Russia is slapped with hundreds of sanctions and is desperately looking for new allies to survive, yet it has some of the world's most advanced military technology. Traore knows Africa needs this technology to counter Western no-sense. These domestic and foreign alliances are put in place to ensure the safety of the revolutionary leaders of the Sahel states, ensuring that what happened to Sankara, Lumumba, and Gaddafi does not happen again. There are quite a handful of reasons that make Russia a partner worthy working with. Historically, Russia is not documented to have colonized any African country and roved it the way the British, Germans, Belgians, and French have. Traore's move to sign pacts with Russia comes at a time when both sides are in need of each other. Russia needs Africa to find new market to sustain its economy, and Africa needs Russian technology to counter Western invasion. This leaves the two parties with a win-win situation, giving Burkina Faso a better bargaining post compared to Western imperialists who simply dictate to puppets. There is a clear justification for the Burkinabe cooperation with Russia, as demonstrated in the recent past with successful military operations against the jihadists who had captured the mineral-rich north of the country. It should be remembered that French troops had for decades operated in the Sahel region with zero success against the jihadists. But miraculously, Ibrahim Traore's forces, with backing from Russia, China, and Turkey, were able to recapture this region in a matter of weeks. This leaves one question to be asked. What is it that Traore has done that the French were not doing for the more 20 years of their operations in Burkina Faso? This brings us to comments recently made by President Ibrahim Traore, where he accused Benin and Ivory Coast for hosting French military bases aimed at destabilizing the Sahel countries. President Traore noted that Burkina Faso once established French bases in the pretext of fighting jihadists, yet in actual sense they were operation bases that were used to destabilize certain Sahel states. We can therefore conclusively say, for the decades French troops were in Burkina Faso, they were not there to help defeat the jihadists and restore peace to the Sahel states. Instead, they were the ones brewing the jihadists, arming them, and took time to destabilize some Sahel states. With the reception of new weapons and military personnel from Russia, France must be slowly and surely beginning to accept the fact that Sahel region is no longer its backyard garden, and the security in Burkina Faso will be getting better. That is all for today. Remember to subscribe if you are new here, like and share this video so that we can reach as many Black people as possible around the world to awaken the true spirit of the motherland. Long live Burkina Faso. Long live Ibrahim Traore. Long live Sahel Alliance. Long live Africa.